Deep in the Gilgit-Balistan region of northern Pakistan lies a great mountain known as Nanga Parbat. Standing at 8,126 meters, or 26,660 feet at its highest point, it is the westernmost 8,000-meter peak in the Himalayas. It is known amongst mountaineers for its difficulty, earning the nickname the Killer Mountain, as 31 people died attempting to ascend to its peak before the feat was successfully accomplished in 1953. In 2013, nearly 60 years after the first ascent, a tragic incident that claimed the lives of 10 climbers occurred not on its treacherous slopes, but rather at its foot. On the night of June 22, 2013, at around 9:30 p.m., a group of nearly 20 men approached the base camp at the foot of the west face, clad in military gear. A good 16 of them were armed with AK model rifles. The climbers had just begun to settle in for the night when the group of armed men entered the camp shouting out in English, "Taliban, Al-Qaeda, surrender," and began forcing the climbers from their tents at gunpoint. One of the climbers, a Chinese-American man by the name of Chen Honglu, realized the imminent danger he was in, deciding to take the small window that he had to fight back. He leapt from his tent and tackled one of the armed assailants, and during the ensuing scuffle, the man whom Chen had tackled panicked and shot Chen, killing him. In the following chaos, a climber by the name of Zhang Jingshuan saw a potential opportunity to escape. He decided to make a run for it and sprang from his tent. He ran towards a trench about 40 meters away from the camp in a zigzagging pattern, avoiding the gunfire aimed at him as he did so. The rest of the climbers were rounded up and had their hands bound, and were told to kneel on the ground. They also rounded up the local Pakistani porters, holding them in a place away from the climbers. The men continued to scour the camp, seizing the climbers' passports and wallets, radios and satellite phones before they began to shoot the climbers with bursts of AK fire. Then, the leader of the armed band proceeded to shoot them all again, one by one, ensuring that no one had survived the initial bursts. The militants did, however, spare one climber, Sher Khan, a Pakistani who had just descended from Camp 1 earlier that day to recover after feeling unwell. All but one of the local Pakistani porters were spared as well, under the condition that they not contact authorities until the next morning. The unfortunate porter who was killed by the group was a cook named Ali Hussein. He was executed due to the fact that he was a Shiite Muslim. By the time the group of armed men finally departed the Nanga Parbat base camp at 1 a.m., 11 people were dead, with the only 2 surviving climbers being Zahn and Khan. Due to Nanga Parbat's remote location, help did not arrive until dawn, when a Pakistani helicopter was dispatched and reached the base camp around 7:30 a.m. Later that day, the Taliban claimed responsibility for the attack, citing it as a retaliatory strike for the U.S. killing of a high-ranking commander named Wali-ur-Rahman. The region of Gilgit-Balistan surrounding Nanga Parbat was not typically subject to extremist activity and generally considered to be safe for tourists and climbers. And because of this, the Pakistani government faced immense internal and international pressure to find the perpetrators of the attack and bring them to justice. Local Pakistani security forces quickly descended on the region and began to comb the area, and on June 26th, they arrested one of the attackers, a local man named Shafi Muhammad, in the nearby town of Chilis. Later that day, they also arrested another militant by the name of Shafi Kula, also in Chilis. Another unnamed assailant involved was arrested by authorities on July 6th, also in the town of Chilis. By July 15th, authorities had announced that they'd arrested a fourth, also undisclosed attacker. On August 7th, the Taliban retaliated, killing 2 investigators and an armed police officer in an ambush in the streets of Chilas. This prompted the Pakistani National Army to enter Gilgit-Balistan to further hunt for the militants. On August 19th, Pakistani officials announced that they had arrested all 20 men involved in the attack. Among them was the probable mastermind behind the attacks and the leader of the Chilis sect of the Taliban, a man by the name of Karibullah. The authorities had figured that the original plan had been to rob the climbers and kidnap Chen Honglu, the Chinese American, as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the US for the release of one of their commanders. When Chen was killed in the initial struggle, Karibullah became enraged and ordered them all killed instead. In all, 14 people were killed in the attack and the subsequent violence during the investigation. About a year after the attack, in June of 2014, it was reported that only 5 of the 20 men arrested were still in police custody, with one of the original investigators, Bashir Qureshi, saying only one of them was actually connected to the Nanga Parbat attack, with the rest having been forced to confess to their involvement. On the 27th of February 2015, the Gilgit-Balistan district jail had an escape attempt in which one of the Nanga Parbat attackers, a man by the name of Habibur Rahman, escaped successfully. As far as I can tell, he remains on the loose to this day. Thank you all for watching.